It was concerning just because guys had no control over their footing, their footing. And so when they would go and try to plant, they would just give out. So it was concerning, and I thought the officials did a good job of monitoring. I think they mopped it to see if it was going to go, but they made the right call as far as calling the game and not allowing players to get hurt until they got the floor fixed.
It must have been an issue in pregame too. So
they looked at it in pregame, and it was slippery in pregame. And I was out there with the officials, with Danny and the other officials, and Danny was trying to read it and see it, and went and put his shoes on to test it. And I think they mopped it temporarily, and it felt pretty good. But then once, I guess, dust got on it and guys started cutting and sweat got on it, it got slippery again.
Dwane, obviously Milwaukee's first home game is against the Raptors next week. Any concerns going back?
No, I'm sure they'll get it fixed. I mean, it's a beautiful floor, and I'm sure they're going to have the best of the best working on it the next few days to get it right. And they've had two good events on there. They had a scrimmage and one exhibition game, on there. So they've used it before. So I'm sure I have no concerns whatsoever.
Dwane, how did not getting Friday's game in affect the decision-making process in the roster?
Well, it was huge because we were wanting to look at DJ Augustine at the point, to utilize that situation, to look at the young guys some more, to try to make a decision. And so that's one thing that you regret having it. But again, hopefully in the next couple of weeks that those guys will separate themselves in that situation. And we had some guys banged up, and it kind of helped us from that standpoint with JV to get his head cleared up and better. And so, it was good both ways. I mean, 6 one way, half a dozen the other.
How much, if at all, do you think Kyle will be limited by playing through the finger?
I don't think he'll be inhibited at all today. He had no problems. He had the special brace on there, whatever you want to call it, and he was handling the ball, shooting the ball, playing with no problems whatsoever. So, I don't think it'll affect him. Plus, it's on his left hand also.
You've been over it a bit, but why Julian for the 15th guy?
Well, right now, Julian is doing a good job of giving us that versatile 1, 2, and 3 defender. He does a good job of running the show. Good things happen when he's out on the floor. He's a tough kid. And number one, he gives us a different defender at that point guard position that can guard the quick guys and guard the big guards. And so he gives you another tool in the toolbox to work with. And he's a hungry kid. And I thought Chris and Carlos did a heck of a job of competing in camps. Both of them are NBA players, but Julian kind of just separated himself. And most of all, because we have a need as a different type defender than Kyle and DJ.
Where is he at physically?
He's still not 100%. I mean, today he went through the entire practice with no problems. Matter of fact, he didn't get a blow, but a little fatigued wind-wise, but there's no issues with the hip. So I would say not totally 100%, but not he wasn't limping around or anything.
I mean, obviously at this point in the preseason, you're in a situation where you probably had a game plan in place. Are you guys on track for where you want to be going into the regular season?
Well, other than finding out who that definite second units, if you want to call it that, is, we want to be offensively and defensively. We feel pretty good about that. We cut down on the turnovers. One area of concern was the rebounding, and we kind of cleaned that up in the Memphis game. I still don't think it's solved 100% yet, but we're all where we want to be, both offensively and defensively. We just want to clear up and make sure of our backups, or who's coming in and who's going to secure those spots.
Obviously, the Memphis game, you guys got out to a great start. Not having that game on Friday, that's really the last gauge you have in game situations of your team. Is it more accurate, or is it more one of those games where you guys played above your heads for one night?
Well, I don't think we're somewhere in the middle. We still got to stay hungry. We're nowhere near 25 points better than Memphis on average, but I think we're somewhere in the middle. I like that people are not respecting us. I like the fact that they're saying that, hey, the best thing about the Raptors is when the mascot went down, our season went down. And I read that in the New York Times. So That's total disrespect. And hopefully our guys will use that as motivation. Masai saw that this morning and brought it in, and it should get us motivated, from that standpoint. But again, we got to play the games.
Do you get that sense from a lot of these guys that they may be almost feeling that they have a chip on their shoulder going into the season?
We got to have a chip on the shoulder. I have a chip on my shoulder, and if you don't, you shouldn't be in uniform. Because when people disrespect you like that and just say that you're going to, the season went when the mascot went down, what does that say about us? It doesn't say a lot. So that we should play an entire season with a chip on our shoulder. And if you don't, something's wrong.
What other little things does the team need to do on the gelling part, but looking into the future, on your list of things to do, what do they need to come up with?
Number one is continue to defend and then clean it up with the rebound. I thought that was our biggest weakness defensively. We did a good job initially, like I said, the 19 seconds, we did solid just like last year. But now we got to clean it up with a rebound. We got to make sure we do that. Offensively, we cut down the turnover. We got to continue to move the ball, get the ball hopping, body movement, ball movement, continue to do that. And again, most of all, play with an edge, play with a chip on the shoulder. We can't play the game cool, and we have a lot to prove to the NBA and the people who are doubting us. And I think that if we do those things, we'll be a solid team.
How is the team showing that in practice so far?
Oh, we've had some spirited practices. Matter of fact, I had to get them on the game to get them going at halftime the other night because we competed harder in practice against each other and fighting and arguing and moaning and groaning. And then, we go against the opponents and we kind of let them do what they want to do. So we got to take that same venom, that same aggressive chip on the shoulder attitude onto the game court.
Every team in the league wants to have a strong start. Is that something that you've internally sort of...
I'm concerned about the first month is a booger. Yeah. I mean, you look at the teams we got to beat the first month. You got Miami and some of the top teams in the league on paper, but we got them the first month. So we gotta survive the first month. I mean, I know our guys are ready for it. They see it. But again, we got to make sure our momentum is still going after the first month of the season. And that'll help us as the year goes. It's a long season. Our whole year won't be determined in 1 month, but we got to make some hay in that month to that we won't get too far behind the 8 ball.